Welcome to OtakusandGeeks.com reviews. Justin here, and today I'll be reviewing the anime series Another. Before we talk about the stories and the characters, here is a brief synopsis of the show. In 1972, a very popular honor student named Misaki died partway through the school year in Yomiyama North Middle School Class 3-3. The rest of the students, devastated by the unexpected loss, decided to carry on as if the classmate were still alive, going so far as to keep the desk in place and bringing it to the graduation ceremony. Yet no one could explain why their classmate, already dead and buried, was present on the graduation photo. Then in the spring of 1998, a boy named Koichi transfers to the classroom, and he grows suspicious of the fearful atmosphere in that classroom. In particular, there is a beautiful girl named Mei who wears an eye patch and is always alone drawing pictures. This anime was awesome. It has its little plot holes from here to there, or it doesn't really fully establish certain characters like they did in the manga, but for the most part, this is a really faithful adaptation from the novel and the manga as well. What makes Another so great is that it's one of those rare animes that we really get to see. We rarely see anime in the horror genre these days, or ever. So when you come across a horror anime, it's usually really good, to be honest with you. Now, to explain a little bit more about the story, as briefly stated in the synopsis, there's something called the Calamity, which was created in 1973. As you know, that the kid, this Misaki guy, he died, and because the students were so devastated by it, they kept, in a way, think of it as him having his spirit kept alive. Now, let me explain a little bit more about the Calamity. I'm gonna read this to you guys for those who are kind of confused about it, because the story gets a little complex from time to time. It started in 1973, a year after when they found out about having an extra student and were one desk short. At first, they just thought it was an error and ignored it, but 6 students and 10 of their family members died that year. Since they found out that there is a dead one in the class, the dead one is a person who died a year or a few years before, but somehow they have been resurrected and placed in that class. All the memories of the people around the dead person are altered, so the other students think that he or she is still alive. The dead person also doesn't realize that they're already dead, because at least one student of their family members dies each month. This happens because of the countermeasures in Class 3-3 in 1972. The students before have tried many ways to prevent this, including changing the classroom and changing the class name from Class 3-3 to Class 3C. However, it didn't work until 10 years ago they found out that in order to prevent the calamity, they had to treat a person as if he or she doesn't exist to make up for the presence of the dead person. Now, think about it this way. Now, this is where the story begins. You have the new student Koichi, who gets transferred from Japan, Tokyo, where he was in a private school because his dad is not able to take care of his kid because he's in India working. So he has to move in with his grandmother and his aunt, Reiko. And the minute he comes in an episode, when he starts to realize that things are a little off, the people are off, the town is off, he feels this aura that something's not right. So being a curious teenager, he starts to ask questions. And when he comes to the school, everybody is ignoring this particular girl named Mei, because she has this eye patch. When you first meet her, you think, okay, she's probably just weird. That's why they're avoiding her. No. The reason why they're avoiding her is because she has been chosen to be the one who's being ignored for the calamity. As you'll find out later on why she was chosen and everything else. So, what ensues now is that they have this thing called rules. I have to put this out there, which is important for the story, describing the story. When Koichi comes there, the first thing he is told is that you must obey the rules of the group. And one of the rules of the group, which he did not know, unfortunately, because one of the characters took a day off from school that day, was that you were supposed to ignore Mei, which he didn't know. So because he was talking to Mei, he is probably one of the most causes of the calamity happening. So as a result of that, not only that Ray was ignored, he was ignored then. And what happens with the calamity, people start to die during the months of April to August. And the way these people die is amazing. Think of it as, for those who are popular with, American horror films, think of the way these deaths happen as Final Destination, because these deaths happen to unexpected people at any time, any given moment. Death comes, and death comes swiftly and very brutal too as well. And what makes this story so great is also the psychological aspect of it as well. There is a real psychological aspect study on the characters, from the supporting characters to the protagonist characters of Mei and Koichi. Now, with the psychological aspect going there, when you really watch it, you see that everybody on this town has a fear of death. There is the psychological aspect of I do not want to die. And these characters will go to great lengths to avoid death, which is really great to see this psychological breakdown on the students and how death is surrounded and how death is affecting everybody, this aura of death around, and how this death is just affecting the town, because no one in this anime can handle death really. Everybody's afraid of it. Everybody's afraid to die. Everybody's afraid of being next in the calamity, so that they go through great lengths, even some to even killing other students or killing themselves in order to prevent one of their loved ones from dying, or having themselves ironically die as well in this calamity, which I thought was a great psychological aspect of that, to include that fear of death into the anime, because it made sense, because since death is the overall central theme. Now, there is one minor spoiler. Actually, this is a big spoiler, so fast forward right now if you don't want to hear it. I'm gonna give you a couple of seconds. Okay, so those who fast forwarded already, they're not, obviously, they didn't finish watching anime. There is one thing that drove me absolutely insane about this story. It was the last episode with Mei, when she revealed to Koichi who the dead person is that year, who's the reincarnation that came back that's causing the calamity. And the thing that killed me about that is that she knew the entire time, you guys. She knew the entire time. She told them, I was going to tell you, but I didn't think you were going to believe me. What drove me nuts about that is because I know it's probably not her characteristic or anything like that, but still, what drove me crazy is that she knew people were dying. She could have prevented this with the eye patch that she's wearing. And for those you guys who've seen it, obviously, because you're watching the segment, is that the eye patch shows the color of the dead. So she knows who's dead and who's alive when she removes the eye patch. So this whole thing could have kind of been prevented if she would have just opened her mouth. That's what drove me crazy when she found out at the last episode. She's like, hey, by the way, your aunt is the dead one that came back this year. And it just drove me insane. Like, that kind of ruined the ending for me, but it's still a good ending. But it's kind of like, oh, come on, you could have, the whole time this could have been prevented. Maybe I'm thinking too logical about it, but the whole thing could have been invented. Overall, you guys, the story, the characters, and the interaction between the characters are really great. I love the chemistry between Koichi and Mei. It is stellar to watch. I love how Mei comes off as this mysterious, creepy anime girl, and then as you find out more about her, the layers peel off, and she's really a sweet girl. She's a nice girl. It's a girl that you probably really want to hang out with. She's still a little creepy from time to time with her parents and her relationship. I thought the backstories on all the characters were explained, fleshed out very, very well, especially even supporting characters. Their backstories are fleshed out really well, so everybody's connected in certain ways, and it's really good. I mean, the pacing's great. The horror elements are wonderful. The kills are really good as well, which I really love, and it's intense. It's a nice, mysterious horror anime. So I recommend this story very, very well. But let's go into a little bit about the voice acting. Voice acting. Voice acting is great. Greg Ayres, you have Monica Rao, Brittany Karbowski, Chris Patton, you got Clint Bickham, you have Jessica Boone, Blake Shepard. Phenomenal cast. Monica gives you what you expect from Monica, as always. Always a stellar performance. And her as Mei, I thought it was a good fit for the voice, because she gives you that mysterious and kind of, okay, something's not really right with this girl type of voice. Greg does great as Koichi, giving you this guy that's determined, but you know he's reserved. He's a little laid back. It works. It really works, especially during the performances. But I think Monica really stood out above the rest in this one because her voice. She just commands the scene when she was on as May, and you keep your eye glued to May, and you keep your eye glued on what she's gonna do and her backstory. It was just a pleasure watching May and Koichi. Overall, stellar cast, nothing really to complain about at all. Let's go on to music and animation. Music and animation. Wasn't a big fan of the opening theme. I felt the opening theme was taking away from the tone that the anime was trying to set for itself. Felt the opening theme was a little bit too pop. The ending theme, however, fit very well. It's slow, it's dark, the piano, the composition of the piano was right on point, the lyrics were on point, but the opening theme just didn't do it for me. I was like, okay, I thought I was watching a horror anime. That was like my first initial reaction when I saw the opening credits. Like, isn't this a horror anime? Why is this like this happy, light theme music? But overall, the music, the ending theme was great. The composition of the background music fits the mold, it sets the tone, it keeps you intense, it does great pacing. Animation wise, the animation looks beautiful around, has some great shots. Like I said earlier, the deaths are really good. There is one particular death that I love that involves an umbrella, which you'll see, which is actually the first death, which is great. I love how they shot it. I love how they showed everything. It's very graphic. So this is not your children's anime. So parents, keep your children away from another until they're able to handle this type of anime. The deaths were great. The shots are great. The character designs, the lighting, the color, all great. So I truly love the music and animation in this, except for the opening theme. Final grade, with a great story, ending that was great as well. It's just that certain thing that did kind of bother me, like I said in the spoiler section, that kind of like threw me off, but it's still a really solid anime with great characters, great interaction, really good voice acting, especially on Monica Rao's part and Greg's part as well. I will give this anime a B+. This is something that you definitely have to watch. It is something I will have in my collection as well. I recommend it. I'm definitely going to watch it again to pick up on other themes of psychological aspects that I missed and certain character analyzations that I missed as well. So definitely check out another. It's a great anime for you guys to watch, and it's one of those rare horror animes that we really get to see. So definitely check it out. This is Justin from otakusandgeeks.com saying later days. We'll catch you on the next one.